You won't want to miss the end of this story, trust me. The plot twist will blow your mind. If you enjoy it, please show your support by giving the story a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Your engagement means everything and helps me reach more people. So, let's get started. The mission to Mars was supposed to be a major milestone for SpaceX. After years of planning and preparation, the company was finally ready to launch its latest spacecraft towards the Red Planet. The mission was seen as a critical step towards the exploration and colonization of Mars, with the potential to transform the future of space travel. The crew for the mission was carefully selected, with 6 highly trained astronauts chosen to lead the way. The team was led by Commander John, a seasoned veteran with years of experience in space. As the launch date approached, the crew prepared for their journey, making final checks and adjustments to their equipment. Finally, the day arrived, and the team made their way to the launch site at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The countdown began, and tensions were high as the clock ticked down towards liftoff. Finally, the engines roared to life, and the spacecraft lifted off the launch pad, soaring towards the heavens. For the first few hours, everything went according to plan. The crew settled into their routine, monitoring the spacecraft systems and preparing for the long journey ahead. But then, something went wrong. A malfunction in one of the engines caused the spacecraft to veer off course, sending it hurtling towards Mars at a dangerous speed. The crew worked frantically to regain control, but it was no use. The spacecraft crashed onto the surface of Mars with a deafening roar, throwing the crew into chaos. When they finally regained their bearings, they realized the full extent of the damage. The spacecraft was badly damaged, and their communication systems were down. They were stranded on a barren, desolate planet with no way to contact Earth. As they tried to assess the damage and figure out a way to survive, the crew began to notice strange occurrences happening around them. Shadows seemed to move on their own, and eerie noises echoed through the empty corridors of the spacecraft. At first, they dismissed it as stress and fatigue, but as the days passed, the incidents became more frequent and more disturbing. Then, one night, as the crew was huddled together in the main cabin, they saw something that made their blood run cold. A figure appeared out of nowhere, its features blurred and indistinct. It floated towards them, its eyes fixed on the terrified crew. They tried to run, but the figure moved too quickly, blocking their escape at every turn. As the days turned into weeks, the crew realized that they were not alone on the planet. There was something else there with them, something dark and malevolent that seemed to feed on their fear. They tried everything they could think of to fight it off, but it was always one step ahead of them, always just out of reach. Then, one day, Commander John made a discovery that would change everything. He found evidence that the mission was not what it seemed, that the company had been hiding something from them. He confronted the rest of the crew with his findings, and together, they pieced together the terrible truth. The mission was not about exploration or colonization. It was about bringing back something from Mars, something that the company believed had the potential to revolutionize life on Earth. But that something was not a mineral or a resource. It was a life form, an organism that had the potential to change the very nature of life on our planet. The crew was horrified, but they knew they had to act quickly. They worked together to create a plan to destroy the organism and make their way back to Earth. They fought through the darkness and the terror, using every tool at their disposal to overcome the challenges that stood in their way. She returned to Earth, hailed as a hero for surviving the harrowing ordeal on Mars. But something was different about her. She seemed distant and detached, as if she had seen things that no one else could comprehend. Her behavior became increasingly erratic, and she withdrew from the public eye. Then, one day, she disappeared completely. The company tried to cover up her disappearance, but rumors began to circulate about what had really happened to her. Some claimed that she had been taken by the same entity that had haunted the crew on Mars, that it had somehow found its way back to Earth with her. Others whispered that she had uncovered something even more sinister than the company's true mission, something that had driven her to madness and despair. But no one knew the truth, and the mystery of what had really happened to the crew of the ill-fated mission to Mars remained unsolved. Years passed, and the incident faded from public memory. But then, one day, a strange signal was detected coming from the red planet. It was unlike anything anyone had ever heard before, a complex pattern of sounds and signals that seemed to be trying to communicate with Earth. The world held its breath as scientists and engineers worked to decipher the message. And then, finally, they succeeded. The message was a warning, a dire message from the same entity that had haunted the crew of the ill-fated mission to Mars. It warned of a coming darkness, a shadowy force that threatened to consume everything in its path. It warned that the company's true mission had not been to explore or colonize, but to unleash this darkness upon the world. And it warned that unless humanity acted quickly, it would be too late. The world was thrown into chaos as the true nature of the company's mission was revealed. But it was too late. The darkness had already been unleashed, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. In the end, the crew of the mission to Mars had not failed in their mission. They had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest nightmares, unleashing a force that threatened to destroy all of humanity. And the only hope for survival lay in finding a way to stop it before it was too late.